Shut up and sit down.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Spread Read Podcast, everybody. Episode 105. Tonight we have a special guest, Royce Adam, son of the American Ninja, part of Demolition, part of Chronic, and of course, Crush and Kona Crush, and the Midnight Soldier. I don't think I missed any.
No, I don't think you did. I think that marks off. Also, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
It's nice having you on the podcast because we've been kind of doing different niches or niches, or however you pronounce the word. But like we had Paul Wonderful's son on, Travis, and it was just awesome hearing all of his stories from his dad. And we've been, man, I can't even talk to you. We've been having authors of different wrestling books come on and talk about their books and their relationships with the wrestlers. But I think it's really personal when you have the son or the daughter come on of the famous wrestler. And I mean, it don't get too much more famous than Crush. So I mean, it's an honor to have you on. I hope you know that. It's just really cool.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, man. Appreciate that.
What's really awesome, I think, is that you're a wrestler too.
That's right.
You know, I wrestle out of here in St. Louis, a couple states around, Tennessee and Ohio and stuff like that. But when I got reading up on you, or watching everything on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, and realizing that you were a wrestler too, kind of following in the steps of your father, I thought that was amazing.
Thank you.
What was it like growing up with your dad?
Well, from my perspective, it felt like what it would be like for any kid growing up with a dad. It's like you wake up, you see your mom and pop, just another regular day. But then at some point, I realized my dad was a wrestler. I don't know what started it, but I just know that as soon as I saw him on TV and the games, the whole him having to leave town thing, that's when I realized, cool,
Connect the dots.
I was able to eventually. And yeah, and even knowing that, it still felt like a normal life from my perspective, having a dad that goes away to work, a mom that stays home to take care of things and stuff. And yeah.
That's amazing. A lot of times, wrestlers say that's the biggest problem is not being home for their kids and not home for their wife. But was he home pretty regular with you?
Well, it depends. I mean, so he was with WCW by the time I was around. Like, I was born in 95, and I think he joined WCW in like the later 90s, like 97, 98. And I remember their schedule was more lenient than WWE at the time. So he would be gone for a while, but he won't be gone for too long and not too often, So it's like, it's a well-balanced mix. Plus, I mean, even so, though, I would still miss my dad at times, be like asking my mom, where's dad at, and she'd say he's still working, And then, of course, I remember there'll be days where my mom would take me to pick him up from the airport all the way till he's finally retired. And then after that, it was him being home all the time, pretty much. Yeah.
How old were you when he actually retired?
I had to be, say, I forgot when he retired. It's like early 2000s, so I had to be around like 6 to 8 years old when he retired.
I hate to ask, but how old were you when he passed away?
I was 12 years old when he passed. In fact, I actually had just turned 12 around that time. My birthday is August 8th, and he actually passed just literally a few days after. Yeah.
Wow. I mean that's. I mean, you did get some time with him, but that's right around the age that you would want your dad to be around. Right when teaching you how to drive and talking about girls and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate how that is, but the way I see it, I mean, I've had many years to, deal with this too. So at this point, I just look at it as that's just how life is. It's not right. It's not fair. I still to this day miss him every day, but at the same time, just you have to learn to handle it and move on. That's just this is how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm the same way, and I even told Travis this too, because my father had passed away already as well, and
Mm.
you miss them every day. You might not think about them every day, but they're in the back of your head, and then just something simple or stupid pops up, and then you start that memory lane thing, and get all emotional about it. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, so let's
For
actually
me,
celebrate your
I
dad.
didn't mean to cut you off, but for me, it's like almost every time I look in the mirror, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I kind of look a lot like my dad too. Like
When I
I
was
get.
when I was watching you wrestle, I spent the last few days watching a lot of your YouTube matches, and that's one thing that I noticed. I said I was talking to my wife. We were watching one together, and I said, "Man, he even walks like him." 'Cause the walk that you have inside the ring is totally
Mhm.
different from anyone else. And I said, "Man, that's his walk." I mean, so I mean that's so cool. And you even use Crush sometimes as your gimmick name as well. Uh,
Mhm.
so I mean that's cool. And then before we hopped on here, I was listening to another podcast that you were on, and you guys were talking about a Japanese name that you had created, and it was going into like a different type of gimmick, but still relates
Mhm.
back to like dominating and crush and and what was that name again? Because I just watched it, so I can't remember it.
Oh, the Japanese name I try to go for.
Yeah,
Uh, Ikari.
Ikari, that's what it was. That's got an awesome ring to it as well.
It did for a while. Yeah, because at that time I was trying to go for something different, something more my own speed and style. Because I mean, right now I go as Royce Crush Adams. That's how it's a lot of promotions call me now. But at one point I wanted to like veer away from that style. Try to make my own character, my own gimmick, and all that. And it seemed like it was working so far, but it wasn't. I don't know. It was kind of short lived. So
Oh,
it,
it wasn't getting no traction or anything.
something like that. Either that, or I don't know. It just didn't have as much traction that I was hoping for. So I said, screw it. I'll just stick with Royce Crush Adams. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. It was a little experiment kind of thing. I mean, I
Oh, of
figured,
course.
hey, why not? Because I know guys change their names all the time for some stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you know.
Well, yeah,
But nowadays I just go as Royce Crush Adams. I actually started off as the Kona Clutch Royce Adams, and
I
like
see the match like that.
when I first wrestled, I called myself the Kona Clutch Royce Adams because I kind of based that name off of one of my dad's old finishing moves. I think that's what it was called, either that or Cranium Crunch. But it had a good ring at the time. But then at some point, people just all started calling me Royce Adams or Royce or just Clutch Adams or even just Clutch for short. But then I don't know when, but they started just sticking with Crush, and I'm like, all right, shoot. I mean, reason why too is I was afraid that if I go under the Crush name, I would get a notice from the big guys, WWE. Something about
Yeah.
copyright infringement. I mean, it's already scary enough that I can wear my own dad's gear. That's that gear that you see me wearing. That's actually my dad's gear.
Wow.
Hmm.
I like I said, I watched a lot of stuff and I was watching a podcast and you were talking about your dad's gear and you were able to wear it.
Hmm.
That's just amazing.
I
You're a
know.
little bit shorter than your dad, is what you were saying, but
Huh?
your dad was wider than what you are, but it still fits, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I told this like on other podcasts and interviews, but like the story goes, I was going through my dad's stuff, looking for some gear and stuff, see if I could get some inspiration from, and I found the black and gold one you see me wearing right now. That's the first one that I found, and I decided just for funsies, I say, okay, let's just put this on, see how loose it is. I'm gonna look like a goddamn kid in it. But then I put it on, I'm like, the hell, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it
It
looks
fits me.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
It fits me like a goddamn glove. I almost couldn't believe it. I thought I was going crazy for a second. I swear to God, my folks thought they were going crazy too. Like, Royce, that fits you. I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So we kind of took
It
that as
fits
a
like it was
sign that,
tailored for you.
was that?
Said it fits like it was tailored for you.
I know, man. Freaking, we were joking, thinking, geez, was Brian really like 6'7", 6'8", or was that just a freaking lie? You know, maybe he's more like 6'5". Like,
Yeah,
damn, I
even
don't
right
know.
there, man. That is your dad right there. That I mean that's just amazingly cool. How long you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for what is it? Is it 2025 now? So about 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
technically, but to be honest with you though, it feels more like 4 years in a sense because I only say that because when COVID happened, it took away a lot of matches that I could have had and stuff. So
Oh yeah. Y-
technically 7 years, but realistically more like 4 or 5 in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah. We shut down. I think every wrestling promotion in the U.S. shut down for that time period, except for the big guys. Um, yeah, we kept our school open because at that time we only had like 6 or 7, and we just made sure that everyone was tested and was feeling
Mhm.
okay, to carry on. But yeah, COVID pretty much will lock down everyone.
Yeah, that
Um,
screwed a lot of guys over. I know a guy who would wrestle literally all the time, and like within a single year, he only had like 3 or 4 matches overall, and I was like, bro, that's weak. I mean, not on you, but just in
yeah,
general, man. The hell.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so, are your goals to get up to the WWE or AEW or TNA?
Well, my goal is WWE, but I'm gonna be honest about that though. I mean, as much as I would like to be a part of their group and AEW, I don't know. I'm not trying to cast any self doubt about me, but I don't know if I have what it takes to meet those standards. Because I know to be in their group, not only do you have to be in good, physical shape, but you have to have what they're looking for per se, and that's like several factors that you either have or you don't have. Like it's one thing that you can get through sheer endurance, but it's another thing to have that you're
To
just
be
simply
born with
born
it?
with, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm still hoping, fingers crossed, I'm still making this happen. But if it doesn't work out, I mean, I've always got other options, thankfully. I mean, I'm not like, yeah, wrestling like all time and stuff. It's just, I'm just doing what I can to wrestle, and
Sure.
hopefully make it happen. But in the meantime, though, I'm just, just
Yeah.
working my way up.
There you go. So I actually coach and teach at our school, and our school is by Bob Orton Jr. It's called the Ace Academy, and so
Nice.
Bob is always there and helping us teach the students. I've been wrestling, I don't know, around 15, maybe 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it feels like 20. A lot of people just think it's 20, but I know like my body is already telling me, hey, it's almost time for you to stop this. And so that's why I started helping Bob teach at the school because I wanted to give back and produce, future talents. And I tell the students all the time, I said, you can be wrestling 6 months, you can be wrestling 4 years or 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and just be an average person, an average wrestler. And then, just like that, it like all of a sudden it all clicks, and and you like you feel it, and you become that special person, and then you can move on, and you can pursue that dream of going to a WWE. We got a couple of students that's working for the NWA right now, and I
Ooh.
tell them, anything is possible, man. And it kind of helps too that Bob Orton is with us, and then Randy comes by every now and then, and him being high on that WWE ladder. Have you ever reached out to your dad's friends or anyone like that to help you or help train you or help you climb that ladder?
I have reached out to some of them. I'm not gonna list any names because
Sure.
personal reasons, and I'm not gonna throw anyone out around. But I have reached out to some folks and stuff, and it's not that they don't want to. It's just they're simply unable to. Especially with like WWE's involvement and stuff, and it just renders them unable to do so. And that's saying something considering the fact that you would think some of these guys are kind of, okay, I can already tell people can tell who I'm talking about, but like some of these guys I know are pretty high on the food chain, almost the highest in fact, but due to circumstances they're unable to do so because they just don't have like, I don't know, the power to make it necessary.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. You would think that knowing the guys that me and my dad knew, and you would think it would be almost easy peasy, but in reality, it's just not as simple as it seems. And I guess I have to point that out on here too. That just because I know these guys doesn't mean that it automatically means I can get in.
Oh yeah,
And and I've had people come up to me like, "Come on, man, you know this guy. He can do this and that for you." And I'm like, "It's not that freaking simple, dude. He told me he
yeah.
can. He's not. I don't take him for a liar, or if he is, then I don't know why he would lie. But it's like, I don't even know what the real reason is. If it really is, if he really doesn't have the political power or whatever, or something about me not being, up to their level, then oh well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing I can do. I mean, hell, it's
Well, hopefully, it might change because your family just signed a WWE Legends contract, right?
yep, that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's uh, you know, uh, as soon as I heard that, I was, the rumors about Demolition going into Hall of Fame
Hmm.
was kind of spreading like hot wire a couple months ago, and then
Yeah,
I heard that you and your family signed on as well. So now I'm thinking, well, yeah, the whole complete Demolition is going to go into the Hall of Fame, and it hasn't been announced, but it might be next year that your dad and Demolition will go in, and
I mean, I'm
well,
kind of thinking
yeah,
so because look behind you, Jim. You have Demolition and the figures there. They're
uh,
just
it's my favorite
knocking
tag
people
team is
out.
Demolition. Yeah. I never got to meet your dad or see your dad. I've had Axe and Smash. They've always come through our territory and work for our promoter. And when we go out to Iowa for the Hall of Fame out there, they're always there too. And so I get to meet them and talk to them pretty often. But I never got to meet your dad.
Mm.
But
yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, I never met Axe or Smash either, though. Like, yeah, I never got to meet them in person. My mom's met them. She's actually friends with Smash's wife. I think her name's Teresa, I think.
okay.
So, yeah, that's actually how she also confirmed that the deal that we were signing was legit. Because when so here's how it all went down. I was at work one day and I get a call from the guy that represents the WWE, like I think in their media group. I forgot the name of said group, but he calls me. But because I didn't recognize the number, I ignored it because I thought it was a scam call. I began them like a lot lately, so
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, cool, another scam call, great. But then I was looking through my mailbox, my voicemail box, and I was clearing out because it was stacking up like crazy. And then I saw his voicemail saying he's with WWE. His name's this and that, and I was like, well, that's new. That's freaking new. Call him back. He tells me there's a deal that he wants me and my family to sign, a nostalgia deal. Is what it's supposed to be called. And then I told my folks about it. I was like, yeah, this guy's reaching out saying this and that about the deal. I was like, wow, that's so cool. But is it for real though? I mean, yeah, I don't know. It sounds a little too good to be true. So my mom reached out to Smash's wife, Teresa, and she confirms that, yep, this is legit. Both Smash and Axe have received a similar deal. And same guy, same company, obviously, same amount, everything. It's the whole, shebang. So we signed it, and the rest is history. What's funny is we signed it around the same time Demolition was announced as it, and I was kind of, I was like, huh, only Axe and Smash were announced to have signed the deal, but not my dad. And
Huh.
it makes sense. My dad's not around, so I guess, we kind of weird saying Axe and Smash and Crush's family signed deals and stuff. And I'm like, so.
To me, that would still be big news,
Oh, yeah.
Man. So I'm just assuming some new figures are going to be on the way. Uh,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, when I asked the guy what they're gonna put my dad on, he literally just says everything. I'm like, everything? Everything. Toys, games, shirts, documentaries, you name it. Yep.
yeah, I was it not the major bendies, but the big guys, big rubber guys. I
Mhm.
just literally bought all three of them, from them, and I was kind of hoping that they would have been here before we had you on, so I can have those displayed in the back. But uh, they're coming. Uh, but they look so cool, and I always love the LJN style wrestling toys, and they fit
Mhm.
right in there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I can't wait for some more merchandise. It's just, I mean, it's going to be better you and your family, and I'm going to love displaying them. So it's going to be nice.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Going through some pictures here now. Before we start going through these pictures of these figures,
Mhm.
he had the picture of Michael's on there, and it's just a mutual guy that we both evidently have worked.
Yeah.
And you, before we were going to record this, you were going to say there was a story um, about Jamaica. Was it Jamaica?
Oh yeah, it was Jamaica. Uh this happened back, this was like forever ago. This was like back in 2019. This is like around like a year when I was still fresh in the business. So here's what went down. I'm not gonna put too many names in this because I don't want their names to get dragged in the mud because of what happened. But here's what
Oh yeah,
happened.
that's
So
fine.
I may as well give you the full story. I'm not gonna like butcher it or anything, like freaking like here's what happened, the end, and then boom. But anyways,
Okay.
so one day I see a message on Facebook, a post by someone that I know. One of the guys that trained me posted on Facebook saying he's looking for guys to go with him to Jamaica to work a few shows and stuff. You know, great crowds, nice food, good venues and stuff. I initially was going to turn it down because, two things. One, I always want to go to Japan as the first country outside of America, because I never been to another country. This is the first time.
Mhm.
And two, it's Jamaica. I hear some funny stories about Jamaica. This is when I was still, trying to learn how the world is, what I mean?
Right.
But then I got persuaded going along into it by another guy I know. And after that, I decided, screw it, I'll go. So I reached out to him, tell him I was interested. And then fast forward, it's me, him, several guys, a couple of them who I do know, including Michael's right there. Some guys who I only met for the first time, and yeah, so we all get there. We get to Montego Bay, at the airport, and we took like a 2 hour drive to the venue. It was nice. It was a nice drive. It actually reminded me of Hawaii, believe it or not, the whole
No.
islander vibe and stuff.
Hmm.
A few stops on the way, and I was like, this is all right. We get to the venue. It's actually on a beach.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, the venue is on a beach. I think it's called Boston Beach, according to the advertisement. And it was a small crowd, but still pretty decent. The ring we wrestled in was. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The ring we wrestled in was a literal piece of shit. I cannot stress how bad this ring was. For starters, you had to kind of climb into it with a stepping ladder because it was like literally up to here. The floor was up to my chest, and normally
Wow.
it'd be up to my stomach, but this was
Yeah,
almost
you're
up
right.
to my freaking chin. So you had to climb in with a stepping ladder, and that's not even the worst part. You hit the ring, you hit the ropes, the whole ring would sway back and forth like
Oh
it was
my.
like on top of stilts or something. I'm like, how the hell are you gonna work in this? The floor was made of plywood. There was a canvas, but there was no pad underneath, so it's like just the canvas and the plywood we wrestled onto. So it's, I mean, I can wrestle on some hard stuff, but this was just. It's not that I couldn't wrestle on top of it. It was like it was fragile, you know. I was like, this is not going to take my bumps, not at all.
Plus the
So,
sand.
oh yeah, and I was right. At some point, Michaels and another guy worked a match, and they did a splash in the middle of the ring, and it literally caused them to cave in, like,
Oh my god.
like literally just freaking like, into the freaking the center of the ring too. And I
Oh
didn't
wow.
realize it until just before I went out there for a tag match. Freaking I'm like in the curtain. All right, brother. All right, Ma. You got this. All right. You just go out there. You do your thing. All right. Have fun. Oh, by the way, there's a hole in the middle of the ring. Good luck. I'm like, wait, what? And so I go out there. Like, yeah, let's do this. And I did my foot where the hole is at. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. It's right in the damn middle of the ring. So not only did we have to improvise with the hole in the ring, but we had to cut the match short because there's no way in hell we can work a full match with a damaged up ring. So
Yeah.
that happened. And then after all that happened, we ate at this restaurant nearby. It was like this outdoor bungalow type restaurant. We sat down, had drinks and food. A lot of us had like jerk chicken, jerk beef. I had the jerk fish. It was good stuff actually. It was really really good food.
Hmm.
The people there are nice. They like me a lot over there for some reason. They every time they see me, they're like, "Yo, Shaman, what does that happen there? Anyone to smoke at this thing?" And I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna stay clean, thank you.
Hmm.
So at some point, we're hanging out and we heard that Golden Boy, one of the guys that was with us. You ever heard of him? Golden Boy Jim McDowell.
Oh no. Okay. There's another golden boy that works in Tennessee. I thought you were gonna say him, but no.
Oh well, yeah. This guy, I think his name is Jim McDowell. Really nice dude. He was the guy that kind of was a part of the group. And when we heard he was staying at a nearby hotel that was a lot nicer than the one we're going to, me and one other wrestler, his name was Jeremy Cowboy. Awesome, nice dude too. We go over there, we check out the place. It was a bungalow themed hotel, and it was a nice scenery, outdoor scenery, very very tropical and all that. And so we asked the lady how much, and she tells us it was $500 a night per person.
Woo.
Yeah, I'm like, I was drunk at the time. I was like 3 drinks and a cup of rum in at this point, and I'm like, even I can tell. I was like, whoa, that's a little, So me
Uh-huh.
and me and Jeremy were like, yeah, screw this. Let's get the hell out of here. So we go outside. Our van's parked out front of the place, and one of the guys came up to us. He's like, guys, we gotta go now. I'm like, dude, chill. What's wrong? No, you don't understand, man. Golden Boy's car got declined. We're being set up. Let's go now.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, we were being charged a lot of money for the restaurant visit. I think the total was $1,700 overall, and that's just for us, like just for like several of us. So I did not know this at the time, but apparently that was a gang-owned restaurant we were eating at. That may also explain why the hotel was pricey as hell. The freaking
Damn.
$500 a night, and Michael, if you ever get a hold of him and ask him about the story, he can tell you a more detailed experience on what was going down at the time because I wasn't there when all of it was breaking down. I was kind of away when it was
Hmm.
happening, pretty much. So we go in the car. Another 2 hours later, it was silent. We're all just like not saying a word. We're just hearing whispers and stuff. The driver was one of the local guys, so we didn't know if he was actually taking us to our place or not. But we just sat quietly, and I was like, this is an uncomfortable experience. I see like I can hear people texting on their phones and stuff, sending out messages to friends and loved ones saying stuff like, in case I don't see you again,
Oh
I
my
just
god.
want you to know how much you mean to me as a friend in case this is the end. I'm like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, is this for real? All the time, all the while, my stomach's hurting from the freaking spicy fish I had. So freaking 2 hours of just cramps sitting there, just I'm like, yeah, I've definitely seen better days. We finally get to the piece of shit hotel place we were supposed to stay at. The room I stayed in was a freaking mess. It was just unsanitary all over. I'm not going to describe too much details, but let's just say I refused to sleep underneath the sheets because the bed itself was literally pitch black. It was like so dirty. I'm like, how the hell can you even sleep on this thing,
Oh my God.
But I made it work. I slept on top without the covers on. I was just like, screw this. I'm just going to get some shut eye. And a few hours later, after I was able to fall asleep, I hear a knocking on my door. Royce, get up. Royce, get up. I'm like, shit. I open the door. It's Dan, the referee. He's like, Royce, come on, we got to go now. What now? Damn it! The police are here. I was like, police? Are they here like in a good way, or are they like, it's fine. We're all right. We're all right. Just get your stuff. Let's go. I'm like, okay, good. And then I pick up my stuff, go downstairs. Word got to the family of a kid I wrestled at the show, and he heard that we were in a real jam, so he went out of his way to drive up to our place, the place we're at personally, and he also brought some police with him, and he was able to talk to the leader of our group, and they were able to explain what had went down. And then after that, we went over to his place for a little bit. We just we went over to his place just to lay low for a minute and stuff. And again, they're like, the family sees us. Oh, hey guys, how's it going? They see me, Crusher. Again, I don't know how I'm so damn like, why my name is so big over there. I mean, I guess they just like my style. Who knows? But anyways, we go in, we settle down, we discuss what happens next, because supposedly we're supposed to wrestle more matches at the place, but because of what happened, we decided it's best not to get involved because of last night's events. So
Yeah,
we
you can
decided
get out in the
to,
open.
oh yeah, so we decided to rent a house, stay there for the remainder of the trip, and the rest is history, pretty much. So yeah.
Damn.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not
Survived
gonna
by
lie.
the skin of your teeth.
I'm not gonna lie. I get a little chills just thinking about the little incident. I mean, I'm getting a little chills right now. I'm like, oh man, that was a hairy situation. But the funny thing is, though, before we left Jamaica, our group leader kind of made us promise not to say a word about this incident. He's like, all right, guys, we go back home. Anyone ask, we had a great time. Nothing else explained. Just, no details of this or that. That's final. I'm like, you, you got it, Chief. Right on. And I really was gonna keep my word. Anyone ever asked me, I only will tell like maybe family members or loved ones or whatever, and that's it. Nothing public. But then a few days after I reached back home, I was at a show and I overheard guys talking about Jamaica, guys that were not in my group.
Oh wow.
I walked past some guys and I hear them like, yeah, I heard this happened in Jamaica. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, what did I hear you guys just say? And they all looked at me and they go, Royce, we heard you almost died in Jamaica. I'm like, how the hell did you hear about this? Who told you? And then they showed me the text of the guy that was telling about this. I'm not going to say his name because I know he will get, even to this day, he'll probably get heat for it. But
yeah,
he was telling what was happening, word for word,
damn.
freaking play by play. And I had to explain to them what exactly happened. And then they were like, oh my God.
It's it's one of those things where they say tell a phone, tell a friend, tell a wrestler, and everyone knows.
Yes, so. So the
That's
freaking cat's out of the bag on that one, and that was from my end of the story. You talk to Michael, he'll tell you exactly what happened at the restaurant because he was there when that shit went down. The freaking promoter leaving them there before the check showed up.
Oh,
The whole, yeah, freaking. I usually don't bomb people's names and stuff, especially since said person actually may have passed away recently. So I'm not gonna bring up his name out of respect,
Sure.
even though he almost had us fucking killed. Uh, but yeah, so the promoter left, huge paycheck showed up. Uh, Freaking after we get to the place, they try to call the police, but apparently the police couldn't do nothing, so we were literally stranded at that point. And on top of that, too, we had some of the local guys with us, guys that were, situated in Jamaica, come with us because apparently they're either in on it or I don't know what it was, but it was some
Were
really
they
fishy shit.
were
Like I
they
even
almost
heard,
your bodyguards?
well, actually, he's one of the wrestlers, believe it or not. Like,
Okay.
one of the local guys was a wrestler going by the name of Ebony Assassin, and he's well, he's not the best wrestler I've ever seen. At one point, he did some kind of diving head into the ground, missing the guy completely. And I'm like, yep, that's about as best as you can get around here, I guess. But yeah,
Damn.
anyways, so
Did you actually make money, or did you was
no,
that
I did
trip
not make
off?
money. In fact, I kind of lost money because I paid for my own expense, my own trip,
Hmm.
and it set me back a couple $100 on that trip and stuff. And it was honestly, it was more of a learning experience than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably mention the family that helped us out was the Kentish family. You probably heard of the young wrestler duo, the Kentish brothers. They're the ones that helped us out in that situation, and I forever to this day will always be grateful for them.
I bet.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
uh,
just want to
have you
give a
ever
shout.
made it? Have you ever
What's up?
made it to Japan?
I have made it to Japan, but mostly for a family visit though. Because I got family that live there, and while I was there, we did meet up with a guy named Osamu Nishimura, and and he's a really great dude. He was telling me about this and that, what I should do and stuff. And I think the plan was I was supposed to go back there at some point, but COVID happened and made those plans pretty much impractical. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, Dad's got connections in Japan. I mean,
mm-hmm.
that's where he got trained. Because he was trained by Inoki, right?
That's
Oops.
what. Yeah, he got trained by him at one of his dojos. Fun fact: He was trained there alongside Chris Benoit. You know.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
wow.
him and Benoit were, from my understanding, the first foreign students in the dojo. The first outsiders, or as I call them, gaijin. That's a Japanese term for a foreigner. So yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, those are the Kentish brothers right there, right?
Yep.
Yep, that's them. I actually wrestled the little brother in a singles over there. I wrestled like two matches: a singles match between me and the younger Kentish, and then a tag match. It was me and I think the older brother working Golden Boy and this other guy calls himself Nature Boy, not Ric Flair, just to clarify. But yeah, the freaking short ass tag match that had to be the way it was because that damn messed up ring. But yeah,
And
it's yeah, it's,
yeah,
it's
with
those
your
it's those guys and their family that I'm really thankful for. The guys out in that situation. Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to throw their picture out so people that are watching can see, give them some props. But with
Oh yeah.
your dad was the first and only gaijin to graduate from that school.
Oh,
Really?
Benoit did it.
I thought Benoit graduated too. Because my dad trained with him too.
Hmm.
All the research that I saw when Jen told me you were coming on, they only listed your pops.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't list Chris as graduating.
Huh.
Hmm.
Must have been from a different school then or something. But my dad did train with Benoit at one point, and that's kind of why they were really good friends and all that. Yeah.
I bet. I bet. So, I
Hmm.
mean, your dad was military, and that's why he was over in Japan. And I
Yeah.
guess he
Yeah.
seen wrestling there and immediately went for it. I guess.
Yeah, from what I understand, when he was in the military, he was trying out for boxing, but I guess he got spotted by Inoki at one point, who managed to persuade him to do wrestling instead. And well, we can see what route he chose. So yeah.
Right. Well, he probably seen this tall kid in the military, so he, all they do is work out when they're not doing anything. So he's probably very muscular by then and tall, and
Oh yeah.
Inoki probably just seen dollar signs.
Yeah, that's also how he met my mom too. When my dad was stationed in Japan, that's how he's able to meet my mom there. And
I was just
they,
going to ask that next. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
figured since you said you had family in Japan and he was over there.
yep.
So did he marry your mom over there when he was stationed, or did he come back and like rekindle?
Uh, I think they married on a boat. I've seen because I found like old wedding photos or wedding footage of them together, and they look like they're on a cruise or a boat or something with family members and stuff. I could see my grandpa, my grandma, uncle. Well, was my uncle there? Yeah, my uncle was there too. Yeah, and it looked like they got married on a boat somewhere out of sea, close to Kona, Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's what I understand. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, were you ever a kid roaming around backstage at the WCW? Because it was WCW at the time that you were a kid, right?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think I ever went to a WCW show. Not, yeah, I don't think I ever went there in person, but I have been to a WWE show as a kid. Mostly just I got to like go backstage and stuff because my dad had the connections and stuff, and
Sure.
we got to see a lot of his friends, other wrestlers working out. I remember seeing guys like Booker T jump roping with chains, like a literal chain of all things. Freaking Undertaker going out in workout clothes. Look like he just got done wrestling and he just changed into some workout gear because he's worn out.
Right.
Big Show. Look like he just got done too because he's still in his gear, sitting down, all drenched in sweat. And looks up, hey man, it's like, hey man, how's it going? I, I don't know if I can do a good Big Show voice, but yeah, he was. It was still always nice to see them and stuff. Yeah, got to meet
Right.
him, Mysterio, the whole lot. Yeah.
Now, do you ever go to any of the shows when they come to Florida?
I have gone to a couple of NXT shows. Yeah, I've been to a couple of them just to see what they got, and maybe talk to some guys or whatever. Just to mingle. And plus, I know guys that go to these shows too, so it's like I go there, I hang out with them,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I enjoy watching these things. So yeah.
So let me ask your opinion.
So,
We were just talking about it last week on the podcast
mhm.
about how expensive the tickets are for WWE since TKO purchased the WWE.
Mhm.
Do you think? Have you seen the prices nowadays for these tickets?
Uh,
Do you think
not
they
all
are?
of them, not all of them, but I have seen some of the WrestleMania tickets, and I'm not gonna lie, that is a little pretty high above my pay wage. Like I'm sorry, man. I love this business more than I could ever express it, but there's no way in hell I'm gonna spend half of my own saving account just to show up at a show where I may get a chance to say hi to some guys. I may be able to get some autographs. I may even catch, a piece of material that may fall out of the ring. There ain't no way in hell I'm traveling to Vegas where it's already gonna be expensive just going there to spend money on an over, expensive ass show. Freaking, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I love the business, but I'm not gonna mark out to it like so. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So growing up, we would always go to the shows. My dad. How I got into the business is my dad at a younger age looked exactly like Hulk Hogan, and he worked two jobs, but he always made time to watch wrestling with us. That was his favorite thing to do, is watch wrestling. So we would watch wrestling with him, and he looked exactly like him. He was a machinist, so he swung a hammer all day. So his arms were like huge, but
Nice,
he
nice.
had the long hair. Of course, it was all missing on top, so he had the wrap around. And you know, so the whole family, you know, I have an older brother, so four of us would go to wrestling shows, and you know, he would always try to get the seats, you know, on the floor, and you know, for like $400, you know, the whole family can enjoy seats on the floor and food, and you know, have a great show. But I was looking the other day because my son wanted to go because they're going to be in St. Louis after WrestleMania, and the cheapest seat was $125.
Hmm.
I was like, and that was like nosebleed, you know, way up high. I'm thinking, no, we're not. You know, $100 just you know, sit there and watch the TV. You know, there are big screens that they have there because you can't see anything down in the ring really. I said,
Mhm.
we'll just stay at home and watch it, you know, on TV. You know, to me, they're pricing out the family, you know, part of it. You know, because if you're rich and you can afford a $10,000 seat at WrestleMania, you know, so be it. But you have to be extremely rich for a family of four, because that's like 40 grand just for the tickets, plus the lodging, plus the food while you're there. Because you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw watch the show on streaming services and see how empty the crowd can be. You know, I mean, it's like, come on, man. You can't expect to put that much money or expect fans to pay that much money and have a full house. Come on now. I mean, I know it's the biggest show, the biggest wrestling show of the year and stuff, but
hmm
it's not gonna be like people ain't gonna like. Well, not a lot of people are gonna sacrifice themselves. I was gonna say people are not gonna do it in general, but I realized, nah, screw it. There's gonna be a lot of guys that might do it too, but who knows?
oh yeah,
I'm definitely
yeah,
not one of those guys. Even though
yeah, I'm
people
not
ask
either.
me too. People ask me too, hey Royce, you gonna go to Vegas for the WrestleCon? I'm like, what for? Just to show up and say hi? No. I don't have anything going on. No match, no nothing. I ain't got no meetings and stuff. I mean, hell, what am I supposed to do? Just go out there, walk the streets of Vegas outside the venue, you know, maybe just
Yeah.
wave if they can see me and that's it? Hell no. That's not.
Now, will you be going to the CAC this year?
Oh, the CA. Oh, yeah. I actually went to the one last year, believe it or not.
I heard you did, and I've been down there the last 3 years, and I
Mhm.
was surprised that this is Bobby. This is Bobby D. He's actually my brother-in-law. He's normally our third guy on here, but like I said, he had practice today. But yeah, so the CAC we've been going for the last few years, and I love it out there just for that
Mhm.
event. You know, I wouldn't go out there for WrestleMania, but I think the events that they hold out there for the CACs is probably much better than what anyone else is going to experience at WrestleMania. I think.
Well, one thing I like about the CAC is they got this thing called the call on the fly event. You know what that is?
Uh,
It's where so the CAC has a strong love for old school wrestling, and apparently back then, before things were ever called in the back, you actually had to literally improvise in the ring when you go out there. When you go out
of
there, you
course.
have to call it everything word for word. You don't know what's happening. You don't know the finish. You don't even know who's going over until the ref tells you. That's literally what
Uh,
happened last year as I was walking to the ring, you know. You get
okay.
randomly selected, you know, and I remember Brian Blair was there. He actually picked me first to go out there and have you work this other dude, this big dude. I think he's from Chicago. I could be wrong. Maybe not Chicago, but anyways, yeah, we go out there, and I remember as we're walking to the ring, the ref whispers in my ear, "You're going over, kid." I was like, "Really? Okay, cool." So
So,
we did our thing. I was supposed to wrestle face, but circumstances kind of made me wrestle heel, so that's what I did. And you know, we did our thing, doing some moves, and I got over doing something cheap because I was supposed to be a heel, and yeah, the rest is history.
we had just missed that because that was held like everything really starts Tuesday on a
Hmm.
Tuesday, I guess that was done Monday or Sunday or something like that, or over
Yeah,
the like the
I think
weekend.
that was the day before we got there.
Yeah, if I would have known, I would have flew out a day before and caught that because that sounds like fun.
It is fun.
Yeah,
A little nerve wracking, especially when you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. But it adds a lot of excitement in the air, and definitely it's definitely a lesson to be learned in that too. You know, always be prepared and stuff.
hmm
Be That's all I can say. Just be prepared and talk, communicate.
right.
That's another important thing. Always communicate in the ring. You know, that's probably the most important thing you can do in the ring is communication. Otherwise, you may as well shadow box in the dark. You know.
Yeah. So where me and Bobby actually started out, they had a heel locker room and a babyface locker room.
Mhm.
So they always expected you to figure it out in the ring, and
Yep.
that's how we got started. So that's pretty much how we are. And like I said, I've been wrestling so long, I would prefer not to talk to my opponent and just let the magic happen. Um, it's, and I tell the students, eventually you'll get so good and so used to it that you can tell by your opponent's body language or how they're coming at you that what's going to, happen. Or what you need to counter, or vice versa. But I love it that way. I love it the old school way. St. Louis, we're proud to be like an offshoot from wrestling at the Chase. If you ever heard of that. Sam Mushnick, president of the NWA, ran wrestling at the Chase for many a years, and a lot of the people that when wrestling at the Chase folded down, like Larry Matisick, which was the ring announcer, he started his own promotion, and then that got my promoter worked in Valve. So we're like an offshoot from wrestling at the Chase, and that's one thing that we're proud of. Was even in our model, we strongly suggest we keep it old school.
Oh yeah.
But are you going to make it down there this year?
Uh, I haven't confirmed it yet. I might be able to. I mean, I gotta get my affairs in order first, and I probably will. I mean, it depends on the circumstances. I know I was excited when I went there last year, and it was
Yeah.
fun. Not just for the wrestling, but just being in Vegas in general, because that was my first time going to Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, it
It's
was like it was like my first time for a lot of things, wrestling on the fly and all that, checking out Vegas, going on those the freaking game tables that I lost real quick, freaking didn't last a whole minute. I'm like, damn it, I definitely don't have my rabbit's foot with me for sure. And then meeting guys like wrestling legends like JBL, Kurt Angle,
hmm
Buff Bagwell, who I actually did a podcast with while I was there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
We have fun. I just love how it's more like an intimate setting. Especially the fancy dinner, the last day of it. Everyone dresses up, and yeah, you're rubbing elbows with everyone. It's just it's awesome. I really, and we recommend it all the time that if you're anywhere involved in the wrestling business, referee, promoter, wrestler, and hell, even fans, it's a great cause to be a member.
mm-hmm.
To give back to those wrestlers that have financial straits or they're hitting hard times, and to give back to your idols is an amazing thing. And so we always recommend anyone to be a member of the CAC. Plus, you get to go down to Vegas once a year and have a blast. I love it how it's in Fremont Street and not like the newer
Mm-hmm.
part of Vegas, because the newer part of Vegas, everything is so stretched out that you'll be walking for days, or you'll have to take a taxi to one place to the next to the next. Where Fremont, you can just walk down the whole street and get a little taste of everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do remember one night over there, me, the guy I went there with, Al Van Fleet, I think his name was, yeah, and a few others were just walking down the streets of Vegas, enjoying the sights, smoking cigars and stuff, and it was a blast in general. I was like, yeah, this is definitely not bad city life, and that's saying something because I know it's not right to judge a book by its cover, but I would not have mind if I never went to Vegas at all in my life. I just hear way too many, stories about this and that, gambling, crime. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
gambling is, of course, that's not the big deal. It's more like the people that run the casinos and stuff,
Right.
like crime families and stuff. Like you're guaranteed to lose no matter what. And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not come across guys that are gonna want me for blood or money or blood money.
The key is not either to go there and not gamble or just have like $50 and that's your limit. And once you hit that limit, you quit.
My limit was $100 actually, but yeah.
That's the smart way to do it. You're there for the entertainment.
Oh,
Did you
absolutely.
did you happen to go see the midget wrestling that took place last year?
No, but I did hear about it, and I was thinking about going, but I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know. I just wasn't that interested in watching a bunch of, well, you know, folks like them going at it and stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
plus, I heard it didn't go so well either. I heard from a source that's when they went there, the show just wasn't as good as they was hoping. So I kind of dodged a bullet on that one, So
It wasn't too bad. Yeah, they did. What's his the guy that dresses up like Michael Jackson, Santana.
So I
what?
did not like the main event.
Yeah,
See, there you go. You're proving my point once again. I dodged a literal entertainment crisis of a bullet. Like freaking, they're like, Royce, want to go see some midgets wrestling? I'm like, yeah, sorry, I got standards. Oh god, I mean, maybe I still sound like a dick for saying that, but yeah, nah, I'm sorry. Midget wrestling is just not my cup of tea. Sorry.
I know they came back from Vegas last year talking about 25 cent.
Oh, what?
they had a little black. They had a black midget, and instead of being 50 cent, he was 25 cent,
Oh
and he
my
came
god.
out to his
He had the
music
flat
and
jacket
everything.
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh please, I feel like 25 cents being too generous. May as well call him 20 cent. Be done with,
Yeah.
So, what's next for you? You have do you work every week? Do you do it once a month, or you got a show
Well,
coming up?
it depends on what's going on. Like normally I would wrestle at least maybe a couple of times or a few times a month. I'm with this group right now called WWN, World Wrestling Network. You ever heard of them?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with them right now, and I used to be able to work almost every week with them. Like I kind of got on with them since last year, and I've been having matches like literally almost every week. It's a good thing to be a part of because they do have connections with the higher ups and stuff. Like, because it's kind of like a, totem pole kind of thing. It's them, Evolve, NXT, and then wherever in WWE. Raw or
Okay.
SmackDown. Like in fact, I remember hearing Evolve getting bought out a few years ago, and
Yeah.
now it's
Evidently, WWE bought them.
yeah. So I feel like it's either A, only a matter of time before they buy out WWN, including all of us, you know, or or B, they're just keeping a closer eye on us because now we got these guys called ID guys.
Yeah.
You ever heard about that?
Yep.
Yeah, they're guys that train in schools approved by WWE
Uh-huh.
somehow, and whenever they wrestle or graduate, they get like it's like they get like a shoulder tap or whatever, like a sort of acknowledgement, like we got our eyes on you kind of thing.
Right.
Like keep doing what you're doing, and we'll pick you up eventually, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, we got ID matches at the show now, and while that does put us more on the WWE's radar, it kind of also narrows out the opportunity because ever since then I've had less and less time wrestling with them Something just happened to the camera. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
It just came back on. All right.
Anyways, but yeah, like I was saying, there'll be times where I will wrestle as little as once a month or like not at all. And I understand they're doing what they can to make the business go and stuff, but at the same time, it kind of just limits a few things for me to do. So I got that going with me right now. There's some other shows that I got, like with Tampa Bay Pro, my original stomping grounds. And then, well, so far that's it. It's usually like kind of like short-term notice that how these things are. So, yeah.
I heard that some of those guys for the ID
Yeah.
are not getting booked as often because they're requesting more money because they are part of
Really?
that program, and the promoters are like, no, we don't want to pay that amount just because you might be, you know,
One day.
Really?
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's just what we've been hearing is a lot of people are not booking them because they're requesting so much money because, hey, I'm going to be a WWE future star, so you need to pay me more to come and work for you.
Oh my God. Well, that may explain why I'm seeing them not show up as often on these shows because I'm seeing the match cards come up and I'm seeing either less ID guys or no IDs at all, and I'm like, what's going on here? I had no idea it had to do with the money.
Yeah.
I was thinking it had to do with trying to rotate the group, giving some guys more chance to shine than others. Never that what I imagined was because of that. So,
Yeah.
damn, I guess it's almost like a financial ego kind of thing, huh?
A little bit.
It
We
is.
said the
I
two
was
killers
talking
of most
about that
platforms
on
are finances and egos.
I'll say this right now. As a second gen guy, you would think that I would make a huge demand. All I can say is I just want to wrestle and stuff. I don't really care too much about how much it pays. I mean, it would be nice to get paid decently, but I'm not gonna like freaking like shake you up for money like that. That's not who I am. And this is coming from a second gen guy whose dad was really in deep with the business. Money is
Right.
great. Money is great, but it's not everything in this business. To me, the legacy is more important than money. Otherwise, who's gonna remember you, huh? Like the guys in the locker room that always talked about how greedy you was? No. Sorry,
It's
but
true.
Well,
I mean, me and Bobby have stories where we wrestle. When you first get involved in the wrestling, you'll try to go anywhere and everywhere, and it doesn't matter about pay.
absolutely. That's still
And
like that with me. I go places. Yeah, I'll ask for a decent amount of money. I'm not gonna freaking haggle you. I'm not. I'm not gonna
yeah,
like freaking confront you out in the corner one someday. Be like, all right, you got my money, bro.
but we have wrestled for promoters that you would negotiate with and get everything set in stone, but then they'll leave the show before it's over, so you don't get
Mm.
paid. We
on
definitely
Saturday,
seen both
I
sides of that
just
coin.
on Saturday, I was just having this conversation about the whole money side of it with some anonymous people.
Mhm.
Take from you, Royce. About they were asking how come I am not going to pay to have certain people come on, and my first thing was the cost benefit analysis on them coming on is just not there. They overinflate and overprice themselves to the amount of people that would have to come and would have to pay and would have to do certain things. They're just not there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So just to skim through, because I actually did some research on your old man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Research, man. You may as well be a scholar in wrestling at this point.
yeah, that's one thing my promoter tells me all the time. He goes, "You're our historian," because I love reading autobiographies about wrestling. Any book I can get a hold of. When I went to Iowa for their Hall of Fame, um, they had a bunch of like not secret bets. I, what do they call it when they have things that you can? Well, what you're doing this weekend, Bobby? What's it? Where you have
Trivia night,
secret auctions or something?
trivia
Uh,
night and silent auctions.
yeah, silent auctions. And man, I walked away with like 12 books, and I was like just geeked out because they're all about wrestling, and I just love reading everything. What is your dad's favorite persona of yours? You know,
My
do you like him
oh
with?
my personal favorite of my
Yeah,
dad's. Oh, okay. I would have to say it's the Kona Crush gimmick. You know, it's probably his most iconic look out of all of the looks. Uh, it's like it's a very bright colored gimmick he had going on. Very, a lot of good charisma he had going on,
mhm.
and it's also when he was a good guy too. You know me. I always go for the good guy role, which is ironic because I'm actually a heel right now in the business, and
But you done both.
I have
Oh, there
done.
you go. That's cool. Um, it's very hard for a wrestler to change up the gimmicks so much, and still, every time your dad did it, he was still, a fan favorite, even when he was a heel. I mean that I love the demolition gimmick. I love the Kona Crush, and then when he was in his biker gang, DOA, I love that. It's and Chronic in WCW. Oh, and even the Demon, he was like, and a lot of people don't know, he was the original Demon, the Kiss
Yeah,
Demon.
he was. Yeah, before it got taken over by that other guy. What was his name? Torg or something like that.
Yeah, it was a weird name, but yeah,
Yeah, my dad was the original demon that came on stage, all decked out in the makeup and stuff. You know, him coming out of that demon's mouth. You know,
yeah.
that giant contraption. You know, just looking like, you know, all decked out in the look. And I was like, hey, I know that look. That's my dad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I read that he didn't particularly like that gimmick.
Yeah, I figured it was kind of short lived. I guess he just didn't like the face paint of it or whatever. I don't know. Well, my dad kind of sucked it up a little, and he probably would have been remembered as the Kiss his own fighter. But you gotta respect, a fellow man's decision, So
Right. Well, I tell you, I love having you on, and I think honestly we can probably keep going, but I don't want to take too much more of your time. But definitely would love to have you back on the podcast. If you have a special show going on or something you want to promote, just hit me up on Facebook and we'll get you back on and we'll help promote you.
yeah,
Uh,
sure, man. I'll be happy
Well,
to. I mean, I usually don't reach out much because I don't know. I guess you can say I'm a private person, but yeah, reach out to me anytime. I'll be more than happy to yeah, get back on here and yeah.
yeah, and
have
if
you
you're
ever thought about coming this far west to wrestle?
We're at
we're in St.
Brooklyn, New York.
Louis, Missouri.
No,
Oh,
St. Louis, not Brooklyn,
oh,
St. Louis.
okay. Yeah, I don't mind going over there. Wrestling and all that. Yeah, absolutely. Just give me the date. Give me a good sub going, like and discuss details, and I'll be happy to show up and show you all my stuff.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah, we'll definitely have to pass your name over to our promoter because he loves bringing people in. He loves mixing up the locker room. Of course, you have your stable guys in the locker room, but you can only stay with the same group for not too long because then it just gets old to the fans. So he
I'll
loves
tell that
bringing
to
in different
WWE.
guys from different
Yeah,
areas.
add something new to the mix.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you may as well just be stuck with the same routine over and over again. Freaking leftovers after leftovers. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I've been talking about that on WWE. Right now I know they're working up to WrestleMania, but right now it's just the same five guys wrestling each other. Two of them different weeks, but it's all the main same character.
We're talking
But
about like WWE guys or like indie guys
yeah,
right now.
WWE.
WWE.
It's either CM Punk versus Rollins or Rollins versus Roman or Roman versus CM Punk. It's the same group of guys, but and I know they're just pushing for that match in on WrestleMania, but
It's like they're
sometimes it
trying.
gets old.
It's like they're trying to tally off how many wins one can get before the main event, huh?
Yeah, something like that. But
You beat me tonight, brother. We will still be tied 3-3. You may as well just give up right now, you son of a bit,
yeah. Well, yeah, I think we're gonna let you go so you can get back. And like I said, I know you're an hour later than us, so I just appreciate you coming on, and it's been a blast. And we'll definitely reach out to you to have you back on. Yeah, because you've been so cool tonight. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, pleasure's mine, dude. Pleasure is all mine.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to stick on for just a little bit, but we'll let you go. Thank you for coming on, and we'll definitely have you back on, man.
Rock on, dude.
All right.
Thanks, Royce.
See ya.
Same with y'all.
He was cool. Wanted to stick on just for a little bit longer because did you guys catch Raw?
No.
I did.
You
I
did?
actually did this time, and I only
You
fell
actually
asleep
did?
once.
That is awesome. So what'd you think about it?
They finally made Io Sky look important as a champion. Long overdue.
Yeah, I thought that too, and even that lady that you spoke about last week, not really having any good matches. That what was her name, Vanicra or
Valkyrie.
yeah, she actually had a decent match too last night with Bailey.
That was the one I fell asleep for.
Oh,
I remember waking up at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
You didn't like it, huh?
She had some strong moves that, even the commentators like, damn, did she break that other girl's nose? Talking about Bailey's, because she rocked her with a knee pretty good. But yeah, that was a pretty good match. I didn't really care for Uso's confrontation with what's he going by? Gunther.
Yep, didn't like it either.
There was a meme that I seen before we hopped on the podcast. It was of Home Alone, where the kid from Home Alone finally breaks out of his shell and runs out the door saying, "I'm not scared of you guys anymore. I'm not scared of you guys." Through his whole promo last night, Nate, he confronted Gunther and declared that he wasn't afraid of Gunther anymore. And the meme that guy posted with because he took Jay Uso's head and put it on Kevin McAllister, his body. So he was coming through the door saying, "I'm not scared of you anymore."
I mean, that's literally what the promo was. You beat my brother up so bad and like handcuffed me to the side, so I'm not scared anymore because you beat me up so bad.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
At a time, these guys used to practice this stuff before they spewed it on TV. Do they not do that anymore, and they don't recognize how that shit's going to sound?
Well,
Like with a little tweaking, like if you said like, "I'm not scared of you anymore. Now I just want revenge and I'm pissed off," add a little bit more to it like that. Like you've pushed me over that edge.
That's one of the things with WWE. Most of them, they have writers and they give you a sheet to spill out, and the good ones will take the sheet and reword it into their own personality. Some that's been there a long time, like probably Seth and CM Punk, they would, tear that sheet up in front of you and say, "No, I'm going to speak from the heart." And those guys are good on the mic. But like I've been saying the last couple of weeks, Jey Uso just I don't think is that caliper that should be going for the heavyweight belt. I think again he's all entrance and not good good enough. And I hate to say that because every wrestler should have his day, but him being out there kind of shows that it's not right now. His day's not right now.
I think a wrestler should have 30 seconds of a day if they suck.
Well, I
Not a
mean,
full day.
you had to be good to get there. So, he's definitely good to be there. And he's definitely good as a great tag team. But I always thought Jimmy was the better one of the tag team. He was better on the mic. They got the same move set basically, but Jay was always the one hiding in the background, and I really think they're pushing him, not just because the entrance, because the entrance just now came. I think they're pushing him because he's been there so long. The Usos, and plus the whole family thing right now. Everything is big about Roman Reigns and Sokoa and Jacob Fatu, and he's part of that family. So, and The Rock, they're all linked. But I don't know.
All the articles coming out about WrestleMania is that nobody's excited for it fan-wise.
Because we've seen it. We've seen this match, like CM Punk versus Roman versus Seth. We've already seen that match. We've seen it plenty of times. So what is new? There isn't. I tell you, the match that I would be wanting to see is Penta versus let's see. I think he's in a four-way dance, ain't he? It's him, Steiner's son, Bobby. What's that guy's name?
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker. Yeah, those two. And I think they're going with Rey Mysterio's son too,
Dominic.
And
Dominic should stay with the girls. No offense, Dom.
well, there's one more. The guy that was the demon, he was the one holding up the belt last night.
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor. I think that match will be the one that I'll be looking for, because right now that is 4 people that really haven't been worked to death yet. They're just now messing with Penta since he just got there. Braun Breaker is just now finding his own place in WWE. And I tell you, if there's one thing you should look at, Nate, is a clip of Braun Breaker running to the ring and spearing Carlito, because he did that last night, and he ran full force into Carlito, and Carlito was standing still, so he literally hit him, flipped over him, because his momentum was going so fast, and it looks like he just killed Carlito. But that's the exciting new match. Those 4 people, and if they throw his Penta's brother into the mix, even though he's on SmackDown, but WrestleMania is a mix of SmackDown and Raw. That's.
How about you throw the most exciting new luchador to debut lately, El Grande Americano?
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be him versus Rey Mysterio. I mean, yeah, it's got a new gimmick to it. Since he's now the greatest luchador, the greatest American luchador.
It's a whole new wrestler. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever. But yeah, the other matches.
Because you said, gracias.
the other matches we've already seen. We've already seen Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. We've already
And
seen
all 3 of them together.
Yeah, so
But
at least
Carlito didn't even try to soften the blow. He just jumped up a little bit. That's not going to help.
well, I tell you, Breaker is known for his speed, and he ran his ass off down to that ring. So you got that, and plus he was an old football player, so he's used to tackling dummies, on the field and off the field. So he definitely just nailed Carlito pretty, and that's like the most exciting part of the show.
That's pretty sad. So I'm not sad I missed it.
They
If that was, if that little 20 seconds was the best.
they did throw in a little thing with Paul Heyman. CM Punk came out to whip Roman, and there was this favor that CM Punk was wanting, which was Paul Heyman in his corner at WrestleMania instead of him being in Roman Reigns' corner. But everyone has been watching it. That's all we've been talking about is how Seth Rollins is probably going to have Paul Heyman in his corner because he's the only one that hasn't had anything to do with Paul Heyman. So why not? And last night pretty much told us that that's a possibility of what's going to happen because now Seth is saying that Paul Heyman owes him a favor because he didn't kick Paul Heyman's ass last night.
Yeah, it was a pretty dumb story.
But yeah, so
I don't know where they're got to be getting first-year writers out of high school for this stuff.
Well, I've been saying this for a long time. The problem is they have sitcom writers writing the shows now instead of wrestlers and wrestling fans.
well,
But I just went through this WrestleMania lineup of what's officially announced, and yeah, you're right. It's a pretty boring show.
yeah, I mean, I was talking to a guy about Cody Rhodes and what the possibility of him losing to Cena. I liked Cena turning heel. I didn't know if I was going to, but I do like the fact that he's turned heel. However, I feel that he should have been more involved into these shows leading up to WrestleMania than he has been. Because he wasn't even on the show last night. And I feel like we should see more of this heelish character from Cena to get more involved into this match. This once, every couple weeks you get him. And plus, The Rock, we only got him once. Oops. And that was the beatdown of, Cody Rhodes, which was the talk of the town, but then he's gone. So we got it one night, but so I'm sure they'll have some magic in that match because The Rock will probably come down, and there's rumors that Stone Cold will come out during that match since he didn't do it last year and forced the Undertaker pretty much to take his spot. So there's rumors that
Speaking
Stone
of
Cold.
which, that's with Royce. When we have him on again, I mean, his dad was best friends with the Undertaker, so we didn't get into that. So we definitely have to have him on.
Yeah, and
And Randy Savage being a bodyguard to Randy Savage when he turned rapper.
and that was after he was retired.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I had like 4 sheets of stuff that I was wanting to talk to him about, but it's a little weird because that was on about his dad, but it was all stuff that was about his dad before he was actually knew that his dad was a wrestler, so he wouldn't have known too much detail about that stuff. So I was glad that he was able to give us his perspective on the time period that he had with his dad. It just sucks that he lost him when he was only 12. That to a kid, that's horrible when you lose your dad that young. And that's Bobby. You missed it when he was talking about that because I told him, I said that's like the years that as a son you want your dad to be around to teach you how to drive, to teach you about girls and shit like that. And he lost him right before any of that could happen. But yeah, definitely he was a great interview. I liked having him on, and we will have him on again.
Yeah, we're going to have Steve on so we can get the second half of the Jamaican story.
Oh yeah.
Another perspective.
Next week, while we're talking about it, next week we're going to have Jeremy Michael. He was it Houseman or He was the guy who authored the book about the wrestling fans that we interviewed. And we're going to have him on next week because he's got the second book out.
For love of the show.
Yep, for love of the show.
House right.
Right.
Yeah, Jeremy Michael Housewright. There you go. Yeah, because he's got part 2 of that book out, and that book talked pretty heavily about the girl that was Bailey's #1 fan, and since then, he talked about it in the book about how she started training to be a wrestler. Well, it was just announced last week that she too has signed on for that WWE ID program. So it'd be interesting to see if he covers that in the book as well.
Well, from last time she was rocking it the last time we had him on.
Yeah, she still is. They had a whole article about her, and she's probably so well known now that surely she should probably just be in the WWE because she's got a whole team working with her. She's got, and he kind of addressed that a little bit in that first book about how she has her own publicist. She has the trainer, the wrestling trainer, the wrestling, place that she wrestles out frequently, and then so she's already been in the media, so she knows the ropes. So it's just a matter of time before she's signed. I'm gonna assume. There was AEW had a show over the weekend, and only one match really is making waves, and it only happened because after the end of the match.
I gotta say, it's not the match itself. He took away from the match. He distracted the fans from the match.
Which one are you talking about?
Swerve Strickland calling out Booker T afterwards.
Okay, so there's I guess you would say there's two, because yes, Swerve Strickland has been calling out basically Booker T about racism in the WWE. Booker is defending the WWE, but so they're having words right now. And
I don't even know if Booker defended it as much as he said, "Prove him wrong."
Well, I mean, there's a famous. Well, I don't even want to say. I mean, there's a famous clip of Vince McMahon using the N-word in front of Booker T. I know that was part of the show, but that's a little weird. But anywhere.
Well, context of the time is also important for things like that also.
Yeah, but if you
I'm not defending. I'm tired of this racist bullshit that people keep putting out there that Card needs to die. So I'm not defending it. But also people bring up the past and don't bring the context of the past. And I think that's one thing with Booker T is you have to know the context.
And that's true. You don't know the situation that Swerve was in when he was in the WWE or NXT, because he was in NXT, I think, before. But if you talk to the guys who were like Ron Simmons, or you talk to the good friend of SICW, which his name is escaping me, but
Ron Simmons.
No,
and Tony Atlas and Ron Simmons and
Teddy
and Teddy Long.
Teddy Long. Teddy Long talks about it, how he had a lot of racism when he was coming up through the NWA and throughout WCW. So I mean, honest to God, I believe it did happen. But to the extent that it's still happening, I'm not up there, so I don't know. But Swerve was. So his viewpoint is there was, and Booker's is there isn't. So they're having words. But I think a fan caught that, didn't they?
the thing I saw with Booker, he never said that it wasn't happening. He's saying the way he handled it, when he came across it, and the way that he believes Swerve should have handled it, was you call him out there right on the spot. Don't just leave the company and then start talking trash after.
Yeah. The incident I was talking about was with FTR versus Edge. Of course, he's not going by Edge right now.
Adam Copeland.
Yeah, Adam Copeland. I'm glad you're here, Bobby. You can remember the names that I'm horrible with names. So, you know, I can talk to your face and talk to you all day long, but you ask me what your name is later on, I couldn't fucking tell you. Yeah, so they came out and attacked Adam, you know, by surprise. He thought they were all still friends and was like, you know, raising their hands up, and then they turned on him and pile drived him. Of course, he has that neck that's been highly documented, that's been worked on and, you know, fixed. And looks like he is going to be talking to Christian and trying to work that tag team back again, which, you know, probably was their biggest, I would say gimmick, but it was probably what they're known for was that tag team of Edge and Christian. And right now, AEW doesn't really have a dominant tag team division. So having Edge and Christian, you know, tag back up, you know, will help that division out. So I think that's going to be very cool. But that's the only thing exciting for AEW right now. But
It just seems like all the promotions are in a little bit of a lull. There's nothing really too exciting happening right now.
well, I'm hoping, you know, because we always talk about how AEW doesn't really give good storylines and how they're just there for dream matches that night with no story behind it. I'm hoping with Edge and Christian, you know, and it seems like Tony Khan listens to the veterans more than he would listen to the homegrown talent that he's trying to build up, which is odd. But, you know, TNA was the same way. They listened to Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff before they listened to AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. You know, Edge and Christian are not like Hulk Hogan. So I'm hoping that they have some pull, and we'll be able to build some storyline in the tag team division and get that up and running. Because, you know, more companies, the better off. You know, the more that people can work, the more people get noticed. And, you know, it's actually a hotbed for wrestling right now. Because if you look up wrestling in Vegas, there are so many promotions running in Vegas the week of WrestleMania. You know, because they know that's where the money is right now. WrestleMania is happening for 2 days. They'll probably do something with the day before. So 3 days, maybe 4 days with the Hall of Fame. But a lot of promotions are going out to Vegas to try to capitalize on that. So odds are you'll probably find, you know, even the NWA will probably be heading to Vegas here pretty shortly because they always seem to follow WWE around. And I'm sure, you know, like the podcast people that I follow, you know, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, they're going out to Vegas. And, you know, Brian Myers is part of TNA, so I'm sure TNA will be out there shortly, just trying to capitalize on what WWE is bringing to Vegas. So it's actually a hotbed for wrestling. It's just that some storylines are not piquing the fans' interest. You know, because like I'm talking about it right now, and Bobby's falling asleep. You know, so it's just simple as that.
And that's the problem, because if you have a lot of promotions out there, but there's no storyline, no excitement. It doesn't matter how many promotions you have, people aren't going to come.
They'll come because they're probably going to spend the week out in Vegas, and
Yeah, they're going for Vegas for the girls and the gambling and the booze.
Oh, they'll still spend money on Mania.
I'm sure a lot of independent companies are going to be walking away with a shit ton of money compared to what they normally make. But more power to them. Something we haven't talked about, and we should, because we got to give credit where credit is due. We have a new classic champion in the house. Nice little belt right there. Where's the other belt? Where's the red belt?
That one's put away.
Oh, what the hell? So we
It'll
have
be up
Bobby
soon. It'll be up
D
soon.
as a double champion. He was able to take on Kowalski this past Saturday, and he got the job done. And
Knocked
now
them
he's
out
got
down.
that title right there.
Told y'all last week, I was confident it was going to happen. Not worried about him. He's big, he's scary, but I've wrestled him many times.
What is awesome is that you got both championships pretty much in a month span. So you were able to take the belt off of Glenn, who took it off of me. Matter of fact, you're able to take that belt off of Kowalski, who took it off of me. So
I'm just trying to get payback for you, that's all.
Payback, revenge. Wasn't
yeah,
it?
that works.
Well,
And,
you got the Shriners in May, and then the next week you got the Classics. So it was in a 2-week period.
yes.
Well,
So
technically one week.
how about that? We got to celebrate. I'm surprised he's not drinking a cold one right now.
That one's actually empty.
Oh. So I actually was talking to my mom the other day, and she goes, "Hey, I know you lost the Shriners belt, but is there any chance that you're going to be able to get the classic strap back?" And I said, "Well, speaking of that, Bobby just won it." And she goes, "Oh, well, good for him." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's the one strap that's been evading him." I said, "So he finally got it. So I'm not willing to challenge Bobby. I want him to have his due, And that motherfucker even challenged me in the ring when he won it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute here, man.
I didn't challenge you. I said I'll take on all comers, including you.
No. You said, Texan, if you want a shot, come get a shot. I'm like, hold on, motherfucker. Take your time. Enjoy the title reign.
We've had good matches. May as well have another.
To my unfortunate discredit, when you challenged him in the ring, you'll hear laughing like crazy on the TV because that's just me. I didn't turn away. I just thought it was funnier now. I was gonna try and get Royce, Bobby, to challenge you for the belt.
Bring him on.
But so double champion. All we need now, I need to go after Glenn for that Central States because that's the one that's been avoiding me.
And Bruiser Brody Cup, so we have all of them, and then we need to steal the Pizza Cup.
I say we can form the tag team and get the tag straps too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Curtis and
That'll be
Billy,
nice.
notice.
All right. Well,
Bring them all home.
One last talk, and you might as well throw the toy symbol up there, Nate, because I want to speak about what I've got. So last week I showed you guys the Hulk Hogan, the Star toys. These are very rare toys, and if you go to eBay right now, I looked them up again today because
you're talking about that haunted looking thing.
Yeah, because there's still a couple that I don't have, and I
haunted museum
won't be able to afford them because the ones even the ones I have are very expensive. I just happen to get a great deal. So there's always great deals you can find, but there's an Ultimate Warrior out there, and that thing is going for like $250, $300. There's Jake the Snake that's going for like $500. And then there's a Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, that's going for like $1,000. But I told you I made the deal already, and I was just waiting for him to come in. So
Oh
we
my
got some
God.
other scary ones.
I say
That's even
that's not
worse.
any less creepy.
That looks
This
like
is
Chucky when
Is it
Chucky's about
Axel?
ready to murder you.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know, I don't have his 2x4, but he is very, very creepy.
Yeah.
I like them. They're so rare that you don't see them. But
You need to put that at the foot of your bed so Amy can see it when she wakes up.
I say, have you thought about just having them stare at Amy after she goes to bed?
But yeah, so that's Jim Duggan. And then I do have the Jake the Snake.
That one's probably a little
That
less
one's
creepy.
not
That
as
one actually looks
creepy.
like his face.
Yeah. But these are so fucking cool. I'm so glad I was able to get them. So I got 3 of them. No one really knows how many of these are even made or how many characters there are. But there is proof that there is an Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake, and
Then where did those come from? I don't remember.
Spain.
Spain.
Yeah, they're called Star Toys, and like I said, in Spain, they didn't allow WWE to just sell products to them. In order for them to sell products, it had to be made in Spain, and that's how these got developed. But you know, when people talk about them, they don't even know if they were. It's hypothetical talk that they didn't even have the license to do them, but they had to have the license because on the box that they came in, definitely had the trademarks of WWE on them. So they were licensed, but they're just very rare. So other ones that I got, I don't want to dump them here, but I actually picked up more Demolition just because who we were having on the podcast. But I'm still waiting for my big rubber guys to come of Demolition, which is all 3 members, Axe, Smash, and Crush. But they also have just, these are called Bendies, and then Smash and Axe, they came in. And I don't know, I'm on a Demolition kick where I'm just trying to collect everything that Demolition came out with on figures. And there's so many of them, believe it or not, even though they truly haven't been a part of WWE in such a long time. But I picked up those. I did pick up a Crush Bendy just because, Royce was on tonight. The Disciples of Apocalypse. Very cool though. I'm glad I was able to pick him up. He was just. I wish he had the Crush paint though to match my other Demolition. But
Those
so
Star Toys, Jim, those 14 inchers, there's Big Boss Man. Of course, you already know the ones you have. There is the Ultimate Warrior. And then they actually made 2 different versions of Jake the Snake. They have Macho Man. They have Jimmy Superfly, and then Texas Tornado.
yeah, so I haven't even seen an image of who'd you say, Jimmy Snuka?
Superfly.
Yeah, Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah,
Has his white wreath on and leopard gear. Well, snake gear, but you know.
Loincloth.
I
Yeah.
did pick up one more, and it was just because on eBay I got them for $2.99. So I was like, why not? And it even has the clearance sticker from Target for $11.49. I didn't wipe the sticker off, but it's Hulk Hogan when he was in Japan. It's got his Japanese gear, which is the silver boots, the black knee pads, and the black. It's not a singlet, but shorts.
Well, that's rare too, isn't it?
Huh?
Said that's rare too, isn't it? And with his
Well,
Japan deal?
this one's not. I mean, this was just out last year, but I picked them up because it was $2. And I don't even know how the guy made any money because the sticker says he paid $11 for it. He sold it to me for $2.99. So that was like a no-brainer. Just pick them up because I have so many Hulk Hogan's already. But his Poppy figure, the first ever action figure line, was in Japan, and that figure is probably about 10 grand. They remade the figures, which I showed in a podcast earlier, that I got Legion of Doom, and I got Terry Funk and Bruiser Brody, which I love the shirt I'm wearing. That is an awesome picture of Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
But so they redid the figures, but the actual original figure is about 10 grand, and I will never get that one unless I find someone who doesn't know what he has. But yeah, so definitely my collection has grown. It's grown every week. I'm waiting for a bunch of stuff to come in, and it's the pre-order stuff that we talked about before. You know, I've got another demolition that's coming in that it's up for pre-order right now, but it won't be available until like November. I got Legion of Doom coming in, a Ric Flair. So there's a bunch of stuff that's coming in that I'll show later on as they start coming. But you know, that Paul Orndorff that I bought, that company put out an announcement that tonight by midnight, which if you guys are seeing this podcast on Thursday, it'll already be too late. But
Yesterday.
tonight by midnight, they're closing all the orders because one of the tariffs that United States has put on China is going to quadruple the price for them to make this figure. So they're putting a stop to all the orders because up until midnight, I guess they're locked in at a certain price, and then after midnight, that's when this company in China is going to quadruple the price for them to order anything more.
Well, I think the tariffs go into effect today.
Yeah, so that's going to be a damper on a lot of these smaller toy companies because all the manufacturers are in China. So these ones that are barely making it, selling the product that they're selling, it's going to be a lot harder on them because, you know, some of these, like the Paul Orndorff, I think, and I could be wrong with the prices because I've bought so much here lately. I want to say it was like $30 or $40 for this figure. So, you know, a guy like me is not going to pay $200 for the same figure. You know, and so it's going to be it's going to be hard on these companies. Now, hopefully these tariffs don't last too long and, you know, China gets their shit in order and starts playing together with the United States.
I don't know. We're gearing up for war, but that's a whole different other discussion.
Well, there's talks about some of these companies trying to find a manufacturer in other countries, like Japan for one. There's some manufacturer companies going there instead of China, and was it South Korea, and you know, trying to get some manufacturing companies out of there.
Yeah, but even Japan and South Korea, that's not China and Vietnam and all those places. They actually have labor laws and stick to them in South Korea and Japan. So it's not going to be cheaper.
Well,
I mean, it's not the 90% that China's getting hit with.
Right. These are countries that don't have the tariffs, don't have the high tariffs that China's got. So if they go that route, they can still hopefully keep it around the same price. for these figures or action figures. But if not, I'm probably going to stick to eBay and the low amounts that I can get some stuff from instead of ordering them straight from the toy company themselves.
Or if you find toy companies that are in America, they have 0 tariffs.
Yeah, but I don't think we have any. And that's the sad part. Because I think all the toy companies that AEW has or WWE has, I think they're all over there. So it might kill the whole industry. But like you said, if we're gearing up to go to war with them, bad things.
Yeah, all the signs point to it, and everybody I know in specific government agencies that only get funding when we're gearing for war have been handed a whole lot of funding out of the blue.
Well, that sucks. But all right, well, let's end this on a good note. Bobby's a double champion.
Yep. Brought it home.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'll cheer you with my Diet Coke.
There we go. Should I switch to a cream soda then?
Oh, there you go. All right. If you like the podcast that we been sending out lately, or all together, please like and share and comment. We do this for fun, for our own amusement. Love getting people on like Royce and Travis and Jeremy.
And Jeremy coming up.
Yeah, so if you like hearing some of the behind the scenes or some of what the kids of Legends went through, or their what their dads went through, please help us out and share this product, because we want to keep doing this. And the more you guys share, the more you guys comment, the better the algorithm is for us. And you never know who might pop on the podcast then. Like and share, please comment, and we're going to keep coming with to you every single week. So thank you guys. Thank you too. Thank you for showing up, Bobby. I know you didn't get a whole lot of conversation with Royce, but we'll have him back on, and we'll just make it at a time that is suitable for you and him. Like I was saying, he's an hour later than us, and that's why we had to start it a little bit earlier today. Of course, it won't affect the time that you guys see this on Thursday, but yeah. Awesome podcast, guys. Thank you. And I'll see you guys later. Everyone at the Squared Ring podcast, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See ya.